Welcome to the show. This is No Interference. We are your host, Westside, Big Sass, and the Bull. It is week 6 of the NFL season. We're getting into the beef of the schedules, I guess. Most teams, we know what they are, hopefully. But we are going to hop into it. Thursday Night Football already been completed. Why are you laughing?
Because I just have the strong urge every week when you say we see who. What did you just say?
I can't remember.
You said something about if we'll see if teams are who we thought they were or something like that. But then that comes in my. I just want to go. They are who we thought they were.
We let them off the hook.
I should just say it every week, but go on. Sorry.
So Thursday Night Football, the Chiefs defeated the Broncos 19-8. The outcome we all expected, maybe a little closer than we anticipated, maybe not. Rumor is that the Broncos season's basically on life support already, so
yeah, they're 1-5.
Yeah, they're borderline fire sale. What do you remember what the Broncos record was at this point last year?
No, but I can find out. Also,
very similar.
The Broncos scored like way late in the game. If I remember, I was like half asleep watching it, so it really wasn't that close.
Yeah, shout out Cortland Sutton because that was an amazing touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I also had him get a touchdown in that game, so shout out to him again.
I was just curious statistically, who's been worse, Hackett or Sean Payton at this point?
All right, the last year the Broncos started off. It would have been 2022, right? 2022 season.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they finished the year 5-12. They actually started off week 1 0-1, 1-1, 2-1, 2-2, 2-3, 2-4, 2-5. So 7 weeks in, they were 2-5. Then they won. They were 3-5, but then they lost like 5 in a row.
So who's the worst coaching job of all time?
What?
Which was the worst coaching job of all time? Is it? I can't remember. Sean Payton doomed himself when he said those words in the offseason.
Yeah, because they already cut Randy Gregory.
Mm-hmm. Frank Clark.
They just released Frank Clark. There's rumors now that like teams are calling for Judy, Sutton, even Patrick Surtain if the price is right.
Get him out.
Yeah, not great.
Their defense has been way worse than it was last year. Their defense was actually pretty good last year. Their offense was terrible under Hackett. And then now this year, their offense hasn't been terrible in every game. Like even the game, now I've lost it. Like they put up 35 1 week. They put up 31 1 week. They put up 20 a couple times, but their defense has just overall been terrible until the Chiefs game, and then finally they hold the Chiefs under 20, but they can't score. So
my thing is like, I know Javonte Williams is coming back from injury, but we've seen Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton, and they're NFL receivers. So is Russell Wilson just done, or
he's been cooked since 2017?
Well, yeah, I think I'm pretty sure like 5 minutes into the game, I texted you guys. I was like, Russ is cooked.
Yeah. That fumble was bad. Looked like a rookie out there with that one.
He just looks
he has one of those a game. It feels like really bad fumbles.
He just looks like he doesn't like. It's like he's like. There's a ton of hesitation. Like I haven't watched every game's like foot replay to see, but if you were going from what you see from like the live angles, it's like no one's ever open because he just holds it, runs around, holds it, runs around, and then he'll like dump it off to somebody. And I just can't believe that the weapons they have are all getting locked up all game long.
Sometimes, just I don't know. I mean, RJ said he's been cooked since 2017. If we want to look at the numbers, since 2017, he was pretty good. I mean, he was 34 touchdowns, interceptions. He was 34 and 11, 35 and 7, 31 and 5, 40 and 13, 25 and 6. So they're all good ratios. Completion percentages usually are 65, 68 range, and between 3,500 and 4,000 yards. But I know he was dealing with injuries that last year in Seattle, and maybe just all the years of getting hit and sacked in Seattle. His body is a lot older than what his actual age is. Like maybe he's closer to a 40-year-old. And also, like, his greatest attributes were making plays, running around, scrambling around, he was a pretty good deep ball thrower. And I don't know, it's just not there anymore. It's hard to pinpoint what happened. The whole like stigma with him changed. Like he seemed really weird. Like the last few years in social media, the commercials were cringy. So
he started dating Sierra.
Broncos country, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, I even forgot about that. So I don't know. He just, like you said, I think what you said in the text, he's cooked. It is what it is. They should bench him, in my opinion.
I mean, they gave away so much stuff for him at this point.
I don't care. I don't care about the money.
Contract.
I don't care how much you're paying a guy. I don't care how much you gave up for him. If a guy is playing this bad, and you start a guy, like let's say they put in who I don't know who his backup is, but if they put in his backup and he lights it up, and they go on like a 10-game win streak, no one's gonna care about the money. No one's gonna like the 49ers. Does anybody care that they gave up all that for Trey Lance? No, because Brock Purdy's playing amazing.
That's called dumb luck.
It is dumb luck, but what do you got to lose? They already lost everything they gave up for him, and he just sucks. So I don't know. That's my 2 cents.
Well, on the flip side, the Kansas City Chiefs, are we starting to see? Are we about to the point where we're a little bit concerned about like the makeup of their roster offensively? Like, this is the first year that it just doesn't look the same compared to the past. We're not seeing those explosive plays. The offense is more so march down the field, wear you down, get a few calls from the refs here or there.
Yeah, I think the Tyreek Hill loss is actually starting to show itself now, because those explosive plays you were just talking about, they don't really have them. Obviously, you can still get the ball to Kelsey, but if your only goal is to throw the tight end all game, they're going to figure it out eventually.
Yeah,
Pacheco's good, up and comer, but it's all part of the ebb and flow of the offense. How the run game.
I know there's been some teams in the past that when they play the Chiefs, they'll play like a predominantly zone defense, but they'll have someone at all times manned up on Travis Kelsey, and the rest of the defense is in zone, and that's worked. And then I know there's also some defenses have sold out to say, we're not going to rush Mahomes. We're just going to contain him and make him beat us from inside the pocket, which you can do, but it takes away those explosive plays because the receivers are limited.
I mean, the Chiefs are 9th in points per game this year, 24.5. They're second in opponents' points per game, 14. They're 15th in rush yards a game and still 7th in pass yards a game. I don't know.
I
guess they're still a good team. I just don't know.
It's not the same.
They're not as like intimidating.
Yeah, it's not like you go to every game thinking the Chiefs are going to blow them out every time.
Yeah, I mean they're winning ugly, which I don't want to. I mean they're 5-1 at the end of the day, and no matter what anybody says,
ugly or not.
Huh?
So a win's a win, right?
Yeah, I mean at the end of the day, a win's a win. A good team like this that has a Hall of Fame quarterback coach combo, they just want to get to the playoffs. And their defense seems to be a playoff caliber defense. And RJ,
Yeah,
you mentioned,
secondary's been playing decent.
yeah, and RJ, you already
McDuffie
mentioned Pacheco. I mean, he hasn't like put up gaudy stats besides against the Jets, but he's been running. He runs hard. You can tell in the games.
Mm-hmm.
In the last few weeks, he's gotten like 15 for like 70. So I honestly think they should be leaning on him a little bit more, giving him more like 20 plus carries a game, and just smashing that, you know, that run button, and that'll just take pressure off of
Andy Reid
Mahomes.
doesn't believe in bell cows. Never has, never will.
Yeah, I know. Also, Andy Reid, they still run a very they run a very they run a very much Andy Reid offense, if that makes any sense. Tons of motion and stuff like that. They just, I don't know, their personnel just isn't as good at the skill position, receiver in particular. So I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
not too worried about them. I would like to see them go up against like a Dolphins, Bills, high octane type offense, Philadelphia Eagles, to see how that goes.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. Well, let's move on to the games that haven't happened yet. Sunday, we have another game over in London. We have Ravens
Are you from
versus
London?
the Titans. Right now, the Ravens are 4-point favorites over Tennessee. Kickoff 9:30 tomorrow. Early game. Get some brunch or whatever. Am I taking over this one, or either of you guys got anything to say?
You can start.
Yeah,
Titans
it's your
fan.
team.
I'll just here's where I'm
Your
torn.
strategy didn't work last week because you weren't physically
I wasn't
here.
here. So do I
It is
do I
true.
continue that strategy, or
I
I
think
don't
so.
know. Okay, it's also true, so it's not like I'm being biased. The Titans are, regardless of what people say, a shell of their self. Their home and road splits are ridiculously night and day, and this is technically a home game for the Titans, but it's a home game in London, so let's just call it an away game for what it is. On the road, the Titans, I don't even think are averaging they're averaging like under 15 points a game. At home, they're averaging like
27.
26.
27
And
points in both home games.
and then at home, their defense is allowing
3 and 24.
Yeah, and on the road they're averaging like way worse. O line can't block. Last week we saw without T.R. Tart, they couldn't stop the run, and he's questionable for the game tomorrow. So we'll see if he can't play. Look for the Ravens to run the ball a ton. Regardless, the Titans' biggest advantage will be if the Ravens receivers' hands didn't make it through customs because they couldn't catch anything last week. In the past, I mean, this was forming up to come back to being the old Titans Ravens rivalry. You saw the Titans knocked off the 2019 Ravens that were 14-2 and looked like the best team in the league. Then in 2020, the Ravens came to Tennessee and knocked out the Titans. But the Titans have not done as well a job of maintaining their roster as Baltimore has. Would I love to see a classic King Henry, 185 yards, 3 touchdown performance over in London? Yeah, that would be amazing. I just don't see it. I think it will be a low scoring game.
King Henry. King Henry.
King Henry.
Are you from
Are
London?
you from London?
I already said that.
The over under is
Say it, of
42. That's probably still too high. I could see this one being like a 2017 17
Slugfest.
17 14 or so type game. But yeah, I lean on the
Who
Ravens
got
for
to
this
London
one.
first?
Ravens did.
They're gonna win.
Because the Ravens came late in 2017 and got smoked by the Jags like 40-0. That was also the game that none of the Ravens players stood for the anthem. And then the Titans said the last time they played in London, they came late and it was fine. Mike Vrabel said the only thing he'd do different is get the 2-point conversion because the Titans went for the win at the end of the game and didn't get the conversion. They lost by 1 to the Chargers. So yeah,
Derrick
I'm leaning
Henry
towards
owns
the
the
Ravens.
Ravens. He literally drew an L in the playoffs to send them packing on his last run of the game. Probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life, coming from a non-Baltimore hater too. You guys almost turned me though with your preseason training camp antics, you dirty 4-1-overs.
So Derrick Henry's played the Ravens 3 times. 2017, 18, and 2020. Does that count?
It's not playoffs.
Not playoffs. Dang it. Well, whatever. This is the regular season. In the regular season against the Ravens, he has 26 rush yards, 21 rush yards, and then most recently in 2020, 133 rush yards and a touchdown. So take what you will from those stats. Doesn't really seem to matter.
One potential saving grace, Aaron Brewer, who is a Titan center, who is garbage. I'm pretty sure I'm heavier than him. He is questionable to play, and his backup, Corey Levin, I think is better. I don't know why he's not starting. So if he plays, I think the Titans O-line will be much better.
Yep. Last 2 playoff games, Derrick Henry against the Ravens, he had 195 rush yards, and then the latest one, he had 40 rush yards. I think you pretty much said everything. I think it'll be a close game. I'm picking the Ravens just because they got there first, and there's just no way the receivers they would have blown out the Steelers if they essentially had 3 drop touchdowns. Bateman dropped a touchdown. Mark Andrews dropped a touchdown. I know they were back to back, but still. And then Nelson Aguilar dropped what probably would have been a touchdown in the third or fourth quarter.
Hey, you are what you are. Maybe you just don't have good hands.
Well, obviously none of them had good hands. Also, Zay Flowers dropped a pass earlier in the game, and then he tripped over his feet. I know it was an underthrow, but still, keep your feet, keep your balance.
What if before the game, one of the Steelers trainers snuck over to the Ravens sideline and sprayed Pam on all the gloves?
Hopefully they would notice that, but you never know with that Pittsburgh-Baltimore rivalry. But yeah.
Should be an exciting game. It'll be old school football. If you're into that, cool. I am. If you're into high flying, maybe the Ravens might light up the Titans, so maybe it works out for you. But it should be classic football.
What were your picks?
I'm picking Ravens.
I'm gonna go Titans.
Oh, the lone bull.
Not confident in Baltimore.
Don't they do that on NFL Network?
Yeah, they do the lone wolf.
I did it just without thinking about it, and then midway I was like, I think somebody else does that, so let me just botch this. So it looks like I'm making fun of it.
All right, so that's going to be the early morning game. Next up on the schedule, we have the Commanders at the Falcons. Falcons are currently 2.5-point favorites. It looks like you maybe are a Washington fan based on your apparel, RJ. So if you want to take the lead,
just jumps out the window.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously with the last 2 losses, it was it's rough sledding. Actually, 3 losses in a row. It's been rough for Washington, but they played.
Do you want to tell your fan
well
base? Do you want to tell your fan base why you guys lost?
Jack Del Rio eats butt.
No. You said you know why earlier.
Oh, because I wasn't wearing this jersey during the podcast.
So it's your fault. It's your fault that they lost.
I take full blame.
Yeah, don't blame Jack Del Rio. Don't blame Jack Del Rio. We all know it's your fault.
But they need to man up and take some blame themselves. F that. I don't know. The only thing I'm worried about is Bijan. I still think he'll score, but if we just bounce back to the football we know, there's no reason why Washington can't win this game.
So,
Just gotta get,
good.
just gotta get the ball downfield. Let Sam Sling get the ball to B-Rob and protect, 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 protect.
Yeah. So since 2006, the Falcons have 6 wins over Washington, but the Commanders have won the last 2 meetings in 2021 and 2022, so they have the recent edge.
I will say, Desmond Ritter has yet to lose a home game in like the last 7 years.
That's a dumb stat.
Go back to college. That is true. He has not
He hasn't played
lost a
that
home
much in
game.
the NFL.
So I mean, the one thing I give the Falcons credit for, they have their identity and they stick to it. And some people aren't
What's our
happy about it.
identity? Not scoring.
I mean,
6.7 points and then 21
they
points.
got they got a winning record. All right,
that's true.
And they might win that division
against Houston and Panthers and Green Bay. 3 of the
yes. But I'll say this: I like Washington's. I think they're a more versatile team. They have a balanced rushing, passing attack, and I like their defense. But the Falcons are what they are. They're gonna run the ball, stop the run, and keep it close.
Yeah, I like Washington to beat the Falcons. I think it's going to be a big game for Sam Howell. Just a hunch. Hopefully Del Rio doesn't screw it up for him.
Fucking Del Rio.
But I like the.
He's going after this year.
I will take Washington.
Well, yeah. Riverboat Ron's contract ends, right?
Yeah. I'm not actually sure on the details of his contract.
I'm pretty sure this is
I think it's his last year.
Yeah.
There's no way they bring back anybody else.
Yeah, unless we have some magical run that, they takes us to the NFC Championship, which won't happen. So.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll take Washington and the 2.5 points in this one, though.
Yeah, I'm taking Washington.
I think they're too talented to lose.
I would have thought the same against Chicago, too, but whatever.
Who do you like, Trevor?
I picked Washington.
Oh, maybe I'm Steph.
Yeah.
Phew.
Next up, we got the 1-4 Vikings going to Chicago to take on the 1-4 Bears. Vikings are 3-point favorites without Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, make this one short and sweet. Justin Fields is hot. The Bears are at home.
Mm-hmm.
The Vikings don't have Justin Jefferson. Depending on how the next few games go, I guess they might think about shutting him down. Maybe Kirk Cousins still might get traded. I don't know. But I'm going to go with the Bears. Even though the Bears lost 3 of their running backs, they do have Dante Foreman, who hasn't played at all, so he should have fresh legs. And he's played well the last 2 years.
Yeah, similar logic. I like the Bears. Vikings lost Justin Jefferson, who is their most explosive player and what their offense is built around. Their run game, Alexander Mattison's been decent, but he hasn't been a game breaker at all for them. There is all this trade rumors in the air for the Vikings. Potentially, if they keep losing, they're going to trade Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson and go in a rebuild. So that's probably weighing on the minds of the team. And yeah, the Bears are hot. Justin Fields is starting to kind of play like he was last year. DJ Moore is coming off of a monster game. He doesn't have to do that, but just be somewhat explosive for this Bears offense to get the some easy chunk plays. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game, but I like the Bears.
Yeah, I like the Bears too. They're hot. The Vikings, And the division's rough. The Lions seem to be the forerunners. I thought the Vikings had a chance, and they just can't seem to find wins, even with Kirk not playing horrible. So I like the Bears.
Yep.
At home.
Short and sweet. I like it. Next up, we have the Seattle Seahawks are going to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. Bengals are 3-point favorites. I'm guessing everyone's assuming Joe Burrow is back to normal. He had a 3-touchdown day, throwing all 3 to Jamar Chase. It was against the Arizona Cardinals. So we'll see how true that is. However, Seattle's pass defense has been questionable. And of course, DK Metcalf can't keep his mouth shut and was talking about how, see, what's Seattle's rookie corner? Is it Witherspoon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a pick 6.
He was saying that Witherspoon was going to lock up Jamar Chase. So, he decided to give them some bulletin board material right there. Personally, I'm hoping for a shootout. The Bengals are the probably slightly more talented team, and they are home. But it'll be interesting.
I think the Bengals are still in must-win mode. They're 2-3, and after this game, they have a bye, and then they have San Fran and Buffalo. I think they're going to want to win this game. So I agree. It's going to be a high-scoring game. The over-under is 45. I would take the over, and I'm going to go with the T. Higgins is questionable. I think he might be back, so give them a little bit more firepower. It seems like Joe Burrow's pretty healthy sooner than expected. So
he said last week was the first time this season he's felt like himself.
Well, yeah, I bet because they scored.
Look like
points.
It too.
Yeah. Dumb on DK Metcalf for that. Jamar Chase is probably going to have another $150 and 2 TDs. So I'm going Bengals.
Yeah, I'm going Bengals.
Yeah, I think it'll be close, but if I'm putting money on the line, I'm taking the Bengals.
Agree to agree.
Next up is an interesting game for other reasons. We have the 49ers 5-0 going on to Cleveland to take on the Browns at 2-2. Niners are open at 5. Now they're currently at 9.5-point favorites because Deshaun Watson's not playing. And that's kind of the big news. Apparently he got hurt off the field, and
he did.
That's what they said, right?
I don't know. I didn't read about that.
I thought it was from the same shoulder injury he had.
Well, he's deciding that he can't play through it, even though they're giving him all that money.
I heard he wasn't cleared too.
So he's got $230 million guaranteed, and he's, kind of being a little baby.
Wouldn't be the first time he fleeced a professional.
I mean, if it's a shoulder, I don't know. We don't know what we don't know.
It's a throwing shoulder. Is what the word is.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what we don't know. Just have to trust the team's reports. Shoulder rotator cuff injury, I think, is what I read.
I mean, Baker Mayfield basically played an entire season with his arm about to fall off.
Yeah, they suck.
Well, Baker Mayfield's a dog.
He's a dog.
Yeah, and all Cleveland did to reward him was cut him loose and then give all this money to Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, after their first playoff appearance in 20 years.
Yep.
Yeah, I would love to finagle my way into saying I think the Browns can win. I would love for the Browns to win to give the 49ers a loss. But I have to go with the 49ers here. The only hope the Cleveland has is if Purdy finally has a shoddy game and Cleveland's defense gets a few takeaways and maybe a touchdown.
Well, for the Browns, we already saw against the Ravens what happened. The Ravens defense basically obliterated them with their rookie quarterback. Going to the Niners, I think I texted you guys this last week. when do we get to the point where we just say maybe Brock Purdy is just legit
I think he's legit
a
at this point.
top quarterback?
I don't know about top.
His only loss as a starter was when he got knocked out of the game against the Super Bowl contenders for the NFC. He basically never makes bad reads and throws bad passes. Yes, he's in maybe one of the most quarterback-friendly offenses in league history, but like what's I was just thinking like how long is enough to go before people go, okay, never mind, Purdy's like legit a top 5 quarterback?
You got to see more games still. He hasn't played. What has he played? 8 games or something. Like, he hasn't played a full season yet. I definitely think he's a good quarterback, and I think he's one of the best starters this year so far. But to call him a top quarterback overall, I can't do that.
He's played 14 games as a NFL in the NFL.
All right, I'll tell you my answer to your question.
But...
I thought RJ was going to say something. Oh. I'll say he's a legit quarterback for as long as it took people to say Jalen Hurts was a legit quarterback. And Brock Purdy has only played like not even a full season of games yet. So I need to see him play another season.
All right, that's fair.
Right.
I mean, hey, he could collapse. Talent, if he collapses this week and has a terrible game against the Browns, it unfortunately for him resets what everyone thinks about him.
NFL is a what have you done for me lately league. It always has been. They smoked the Cowboys last week. Brock Purdy had like 4 touchdowns. I don't want. I have to stop slighting team. I don't have to stop, but as a whole, people have to stop slighting teams for their schedule because the 49ers have a weak schedule. They've had a weak schedule. Are the 49ers that good or are the Cowboys that bad? We'll have to figure out later in the year for that game last week. But the Eagles had a weak schedule last year, and they end up going to the Super Bowl. So I don't want to say that their schedule's been weak. But I would like to see them against a legit team that actually puts up a fight. I would say the Cowboys are a legit team, but they didn't put up any fight. So,
agreed.
I think the Cowboys got exposed as frauds, and the Niners are.
Well, like I said, we'll figure out later in the year if that was actually the Cowboys are a good team. But I'm going to take the 49ers this week.
Yeah, I think the 49ers.
Niners all day.
That'll be foolish. Next up, New Orleans Saints are going down to Texas to take on the Houston Texans. New Orleans is 2 point. What?
What is this order you're going in?
The order that you told me.
Saints Texans is next.
Is it?
Yeah.
Bastards. All right, go ahead. I'm back to normal.
Saints are 2-point favorites. This is an interesting game. The Saints have basically been carried by their defense for most of this year. Texans, I think, are dealing with a little bit of injuries. I think Tank Dell's questionable. But the Texans are also getting their left and their right tackle back. So that completely changes the makeup of this team. Texans have been kind of the surprise team of the year. CJ Stroud is putting up, for a rookie, he's putting up elite numbers. Meanwhile, the Saints, it's just a fight for that NFC South where it's anyone's division at this point. The Texans are coming off a kind of a back-breaking loss to the Falcons, where the Falcons kicked a late field goal to win.
Yeah. Stroud has looked incredible this year, in my opinion.
He has.
Yeah.
He looks like he can throw almost every... He can throw pretty much every ball in the field with anticipation. He seems like he's reading the defense as well. He hasn't thrown an interception yet.
He set a record too, right? With the most passes thrown by a rookie without interception.
I believe so.
I mean, we as a show, I'm pretty sure we had Stroud as our number 1 quarterback.
Yeah.
I think I had Richardson as the my most either excited about or like fantasy wise. But Stroud, I think, was our most consistent.
Officially in the no interference mock draft, I picked Bryce Young number 1 overall, so we're gonna go with yes. Yeah, I mean he's looked really good. I think this could be a tough week. The Saints still have a pretty good defense. They have yet to give up 20 points this year. Or no, that's not true. They gave up 26 to the Tampa Bay Bucks. But either way, most of the year their defense has been pretty stout. I want to pick the Texans because I really like Stroud, but I'm leaning towards the Saints in a close game, kind of similar to what the Texans dealt with the Falcons last week.
So I'm actually leaning Texans. I'm gonna say that their O line gets healthy for the first time all season, and Damon Pierce finally pops off for a big game.
If they can get consistency out of the O line and Dameon Pierce, the run game, they would. Texans a solid team.
So I'm gonna say the Texans get their run game going and get the win tomorrow.
Yeah,
close
Dameon
game.
Pierce was a potential rookie of the year candidate last year. He's just had a rough start to the season. I still think he has a lot of talent, a lot of big play capability. I like it. I like Texans. I like Stroud. Texans are a nice surprise this year so far, even at 2-3.
Look better than my Titans.
Yeah, speaking of the same division, Jesus.
Next up, we have a battle for the AFC South. We have the Colts in Jacksonville taking on the Jaguars. The Jags are 4.5-point favorites. No Anthony Richardson. I'm pretty sure he's already ruled out for his. He's on IR with that shoulder injury, AC joint, I believe. Unfortunate for him. Good news for the Colts. Gardner Minshew he's won both the games that he's played in against the Titans and the Ravens. And now, out of nowhere, the Colts have maybe the best two-headed rushing attack in the league with Zach Moss and now Jonathan Taylor, who should be getting close to full speed now. That being said, the Jaguars just kind of beat up on the Bills. However, that was in London. Jags stayed there all week because they were already there. Bills had to travel, so I think that was an advantage. Jacksonville. So I think coming home after being in London for 2 weeks, I think the Colts get the upset.
Really?
I think if
I'm going Jags.
Yeah, I think if the combo of Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss can play extremely well, they have a good chance. Trevor Lawrence heated up a little bit last week against Buffalo Bills. That was a big win for them. Back-to-back games in London, of course. Now they're back in Jacksonville. I'm going to stick with Jacksonville to be the team who we thought they were going to be this year and improved to 4-2.
Yeah, I agree. You got Anthony Richardson out. Nothing against Gardner Minshew. Even with Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss, I think Trevor Lawrence is starting to really build that repertoire with Calvin Ridley too. And if they can just stay consistent, they're a pretty good team.
Yep.
ETN went off last week too. He's eating. I think he also had over 100 scrimmage yards the first time they played the Colts in a touchdown. So expect him to do some good stuff tomorrow.
Yep.
All right.
Today.
All right. Let's transition here.
Yep. All right. We're going to be moving on the rest of the show without the Bull. He had to go do something less important. I don't know. Next game on the schedule, we got the 0-5 Panthers going to take on the 4-1 Miami Dolphins. Dolphins are 14-point favorites. I'm not sure if that is enough of a spread, to be honest. The one kind of bright hope for the Panthers is Adam Thielen's been having a heck of a year. I think he's like wide receiver 9 or 10 on the season. And the Panthers D line's been okay. Unfortunately, the Dolphins don't really care about any of that stuff, and they're just going to sprint up and down the field. A-Chain is out for
A-Chan.
this game. I thought you said it was A-Chain.
A-Chan.
A-Chan?
It was
A-Chan is out.
A-Chain. That's how everybody was saying it. But then,
Well, you know what? He doesn't get to pick. All right, we already decided. The people decided. He's out. Dolphins have Jeff Wilson, again, a former Niner who is a pretty solid runner. I'm going to double check some injuries for the Dolphins. They're looking solid as far as their offensive weapons. The Panthers, on the other hand, I know Brown's questionable. Brian Burns also questionable. Well, if neither of them play or one misses the game, that changes everything. Dolphins by 21.
I think the only chance the Panthers have is if it's just one of those weird games where they're expected to
And
be...
Miles Sanders is out too.
Yeah, I saw Sanders is out. The only chance they have is if it's just one of those weird games where the spread is crazy and they're huge underdogs and it's like a miracle Bryce Young Thielen game, but I just don't see that happening.
I was gonna say, this is the type of game, as a coach, you tell Bryce Young, don't push things, because things can get out of hand, and all of a sudden he throws 3 picks, takes a bunch of sacks, and you don't want that on your rookie, hopefully franchise quarterback. So, I mean, if I was a head coach, I'd be very blunt and be like, listen, we're outmanned, we're outgunned, play your game, and we're going to live to fight another day.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins already had their doozy against the Bills for October.
Yeah.
I don't see them letting up a game against the Panthers, especially when they have Philadelphia next week. So,
Yeah.
Dolphins.
Moving on to the 4:00 games, we have the New England Patriots at 1-4 going to take on the Las Vegas Raiders at 2-3. Raiders have the home field advantage, and they are sporting a 3-point favorite right now. Biggest thing with the Patriots is, like, Mac Jones. He's not it. Unfortunately, in the NFL, you can't have limited arm talent and not be close to perfect with your decision making and your ball placement. And he's been none of those this season. This isn't your typical Belichick team. Run game hasn't been great. Defense is lacking some talent for Belichick's typical play style. The Raiders haven't been great either, but they still have Devontae Adams. They still have Max Crosby. They still have Josh Jacobs. And those 3 are probably enough to walk away with a win against the current Patriots team.
That was my thinking exactly. Last year, the Patriots played the Raiders in Las Vegas. Is that the Jacoby Myers game where he lateraled it to Chandler Jones?
Yeah.
So now, Jacoby Myers switched sides there. Maybe it's a little redemption for him. But I agree with your
He laterals Devontae Adams for a 80-yard touchdown or something.
Yeah. But you got Patriots all over the place for the Raiders. Jacoby Myers, Josh McDaniels, Jimmy Garoppolo. Even though that was a long time ago. But I like the Raiders here. I think I agree with you. They have more big talent, as in Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, Max Crosby. What the Patriots did have working for them defensively has been hurt a little bit with injuries the last few weeks. So probably a close game, maybe.
Yeah. And then the other thing, I don't know if this is even going to matter, but on one side you have Bill Belichick. He's a older, grizzled coach. His legacy is already basically set in stone. He's probably on his way out. And on the other side, you have Josh McDaniels, who's basically coaching for his future. Um, because so far everything he has basically been riding the coattails of Bill Belichick. His head coach resume has not been good, so he maybe has a little bit more to play for or
Mm-hmm.
coach for. But yeah, I'll take the Raiders. Next up, we have the Arizona Cardinals at 1-4 coming to LA to take on the 2-3 Rams. Rams are 6.5 point favorites, coming off of a an interesting game against the Eagles. Um, I mean, we kind of know the Rams. All right, they're gonna Matt Stafford's gonna drop back. He has Puka, Cup, Tutu to target. Their running back Williams. They're gonna feed him the ball. He's gonna get like 20 touches. Not be super efficient, but they're at least gonna keep the threat there. And then defensively, it's just they try to stick to that bend don't break defense. Um, Cardinals have been way better than anyone thought they would be. Um, with that being said, they're still 1-4.
Yeah, and as good as they've been playing, seemingly they've lost by double digits 2 weeks in a row now to San Fran and the Cincinnati. I expect the Rams to be able to execute their game plan a little bit better this week against Cardinals than they did last week. They pretty much abandoned the run. Um, the Eagles have a really good run defense, though. Um, James Conner is out as
Out.
well.
Yeah, he's on IR.
Yeah, so I like the Rams to have a bounce back game here. As you mentioned, Stafford has plenty of weapons to spread the ball out to, and hopefully they'll be able to establish the run a little bit more this game. So
Yeah. Also, the Bengals passing attack's been awful all year, and they kind of lit up the Rams. I mean, lit up the Cardinals.
yep,
The Rams passing attack's been solid. They're just the Rams are just lacking talent in other areas to be a real competitive team.
mm-hmm.
But I just think the Rams have uh, enough firepower, and they're also not going to take the Cardinals lightly. It's a division game, and the Rams are still, fighting to stay in the race.
Yeah.
So they can't pull a Cowboys and fall asleep on this team.
Yeah, let me look up something here. So last year they split, but the Rams were riddled with injuries. Rams. No, yeah, doesn't really matter. I was just
Both these
curious
teams
what
were
the
different last year.
yeah, I was curious what the splits look like.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm taking the Rams. I mean, for most of this season, we've seen if you can put up over 21 points, the Cardinals are going to have trouble keeping up. And now they've lost James Conner, who's basically been their best offensive weapon.
Yep, no reason to overthink it. Rams have enough talent, and Cardinals have played above their weight class.
Yeah. Next up, we have the 5-0 Philadelphia Eagles going to New York to take on the 2-3 Jets. Eagles 6.5 point favorites. I will defer to you.
Eagles have a couple of injuries this week that aren't the best. Jalen Carter's out with an ankle injury that he suffered in practice. Darius Slay also has an injury to the knee. He is out, so that's two big shots to the defense. Both are said to not be long term, luckily. The Jets also have an injury. DJ Reed is out, so that's a blow to their secondary that looked to be like a good matchup against the Eagles wide receivers. I'm going to go with Philly here. I can go with the simple reasoning is that the Jets have never beat the Eagles in the history of histories. They're 0-12 all time. I also just think, as people want to say this year, the Eagles haven't looked as good as they did last year, and while that may be true, I've watched every snap of the Eagles, and I think for the most part this year they've looked like a well-oiled machine. Their O-line's playing great. They can typically run the ball whenever they want. Jalen Hurts has been good the last 3 weeks. It took him a week or two to get into rhythm. He didn't play in the preseason. And I just think they're going to be too much for the Jets. The Jets had a good 2 weeks with Zach Wilson playing well against the Chiefs, and then their offense played well against the Broncos last week. The Broncos defense sucks though. Even without Jalen Carter and Darius Slay, I think the Eagles have pass rush depth for a reason. For one, rotation and injuries not to affect them that much. And I just think they'll be able to get after Zach Wilson a little bit and mess up the timing. I also just, as good as the Jets defense is, or as talented as it is, I think they'll be able to put up at least 25 on the Jets, and I think that's too much for Zach Wilson to overcome.
Yeah, I think if you're the Eagles' D line for pass rushing and run defense is deep. They can make it without Jalen Carter.
I didn't mention. You're probably about to mention it, but I didn't mention Breece Hall. I think he'll.
Yeah, I was gonna say, from an Eagles standpoint, you just gotta watch Breece Hall. He's been all the explosive plays for the Jets basically this year, and Zach Wilson, he's just not been good. Even when Garrett Wilson has been able to get open with teams kind of rolling coverage to him, Zach Wilson hasn't been able to hit him. And then, like, Jets defense is really good. It would have been a Super Bowl caliber defense with probably Aaron Rodgers at the helm. It's hard to keep that mindset in today's football where, hey, we're going to be an elite defense and carry this team. And this isn't like, the 90s and the 2000s where your whole team's identity can be, hey, we're just a good defense and that's it. It doesn't work anymore because of the rules. The one thing that I feel like people underrate against the Eagles is that they can beat you. It's probably the Eagles and the 49ers are the two teams that they can beat you any way they want. The Jets can, stuff the run and limit DeAndre Swift and Gainwell. They can, keep an eye on Jalen Hurts and neutralize his legs. Maybe even Sauce Gardner can lock up AJ Brown. That's actually going to be a good matchup. One of the reasons why I like AJ Brown in these kind of matchups is because he's so physical. You can be a great corner and have great coverage skills, but if he catches a little drag route and stiff arms you and drags you 10 yards down the field, there's nothing you can do about that. But you can take all that away, and the Eagles still have Devontae Smith, who's arguably a top 10, top 12 receiver, and then Dallas Goedert, who, regardless of stats, he's a top 5 tight end. And those two players, there's no defense in the league that's really that talented that they can stop all 5 of these aspects on the Eagles offense. And again, maybe the Eagles don't win 30 to like 10 or whatever, but 24 to 13, 16, yeah, easily.
Yeah.
23 to 16 still covers, still 7 points.
Yeah, that's what I could see it being a game like that. I think for it to be a blowout type game, the game would really have to. I would say the Jets aren't able to establish the run, and then it just really gets away from Zach Wilson with a couple turnovers. Then I could see it being a blowout. I don't see the Eagles offense just going out there and kicking the Jets defense in the face. But as you mentioned, the Eagles just have so many ways to win. They still have the best offensive line in the league, in my opinion. Their defensive line, with or without Jalen Carter, is still very good. Of course, you want him there and Slay, but it is what it is. You have depth for a reason.
Yep.
And this is probably one of the best weeks to not have Slay because Zach Wilson isn't that great. So I don't think it will affect us that much.
Yeah. Keep it simple.
Yep.
Next up, interesting game. We have the 4-1 Lions going to Tampa Bay to take on the 3-1 Buccaneers, who are coming off of a bye week. The Lions are 3-point favorites. Both these teams dealing with a little bit of injuries. Lions, Gibbs is out. Branch is out. They have a few players who are out, questionable and on IR. For the Buccaneers, Shaq Barrett's questionable. And then they're saying that Mike Evans is going to play, but reports were in practice that he was still dealing with his hamstring a little bit. I like the Lions, but the fact that the Bucs have looked like a pretty solid team this year and coming off of a bye week, and the Lions have some injuries this week. This will probably be the Eagles. Definitely were too much for the Bucs. Like no one's going to argue that. But I'm not going to have that game, to use to say, well, the Bucs got exposed. If you look at the Bucs schedule, they beat the Vikings 2017, beat the Bears 27-17, lost to the Eagles. Eagles D-line completely took over that game. But then the Saints, who are a legit team, they beat them 26-9.
That was a game they lost Derek Carr, though, early on, and Jameis Winston played poorly.
But the Saints defense is like a legit defense just for, gauging everything. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game.
Sounds like you like Tampa Bay.
I do like Tampa Bay. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. So it's going to be Goff versus Mayfield, and I've always had a little bit of bias towards Mayfield, so I'm going to take the Buccaneers.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Lions. The Lions' run defense has been really good this year. Tampa Bay's run defense was good until the Eagles game. Then it's not been as great. I don't know actually what the stats were against Saints, Tampa Bay, but you made good valid points. And as your last point was Mayfield versus Goff, I'm gonna lean towards Goff. I think the Lions will be able to make a play or two more than Tampa Bay, defensively and offensively.
That's fair.
Close game. I mean, it's 3-point spread. I could see it being a 3-point game.
Yep. It'll be close, but it'll be interesting. It'll be a good gauge for both these teams.
It's a great game. It's 4-1 versus 3-1, so I wouldn't mind peeking on that one.
Yep. I mean, it kind of sucks getting the early bye, so you might as well use it to your advantage if you're the Bucs.
Yep.
Next up, Sunday night, we have a very, very exciting game. It's the New York Giants versus the Buffalo Bills. Bills are 15-point favorites.
Let's not even get into this one that much. Buffalo by 20.
Because, Daniel Jones isn't even playing.
Yeah, they suck anyways. Daniel Jones isn't playing. The Giants are just in shambles.
Yeah, this
is
is
your
going to be a
backup,
game.
Tyrod Taylor?
Yeah.
He can be a little bit frisky, but he's older now. Blowout still. Buffalo Bills in a blowout.
This is a game where you're excited for Sunday Night Football, and then at halftime you just turn it off because you're bored watching.
Yeah,
it.
I hate that we've gotten some duds of these matchups this year.
Even Niners Cowboys, unless you were a Niners fan, it was hard to watch. That's how bad the Cowboys were.
Yeah, that game sucked.
All right, so yeah, we're both taking the Bills. This is one of the ones where the NBC might have to cut it at halftime and just go to some sitcom to keep the ratings up.
I don't think they've ever done that.
All right, Monday night, we have the Dallas Cowboys at 3-2, going to take on the LA Chargers at 2-2. Dallas is 1.5-point favorites. Chargers are coming off of a bye. Chargers went into their bye with a win off the Las Vegas Raiders, and the Dallas Cowboys are coming off of their embarrassing 42-10 loss to the Niners. Looking at the injuries real quick, of course, Mike Williams is out after his leg injury for the Chargers. Joey Bosa is questionable. I think Derwin James is good to go, but he's kind of been banged up. For the Cowboys, Vander Esch, he's out from the injury with the Niners. And that's about it for notable players. This is tough because it's the Cowboys, who I love to see lose, and the Chargers, who apparently just can't help themselves with losing. Both talented teams. It's hard because the Cowboys just got destroyed. It's one of the more embarrassing games I've ever seen. Like, what first popped in my head was when the Titans got absolutely throttled by the Patriots, like 55-0. But the Titans won like 3 games that whole year, so I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. The Cowboys were being hyped up as a top 3 seed in the NFC. And then the 49ers were just like, hold up, let's just show America how big a gap there is between us. So
this is a big test, or this will be a big, no, not a test. It'll be a big reveal for who the Cowboys actually are.
Well, listen. Obviously, I want to see a shootout between Herbert. I've always thought Herbert was a little overrated. Like, he puts up numbers, but I'm like, they're empty numbers. And then Dak Prescott, people just need to give up. He's not a top 10 quarterback. He's like a 12 to 15 range quarterback. And if you rewatch the Cowboys Niners game, a lot of that loss was on his shoulders, where he had good protection. He had people open underneath, and instead he's staring downfield and takes sacks. And CeeDee Lamb's throwing a fit that he's not getting the ball enough. But I know it's going to happen. The Cowboys are going to end up winning like 28-10, and then on Tuesday, I'm going to hear on all of the cable channels, "Oh, the Cowboys, they're back. They did it. It was just a little mistake against the Niners."
I mean, but look, both teams have. I mean, McCarthy sucks. He's not a good head coach. He's not even a great offensive coordinator, in my opinion. Your thoughts on Justin Herbert being slightly overrated, I think, are incorrect, because he's been dealing with Brandon Staley, who sucks. If you give Justin Herbert Andy Reid, he's probably putting up 50 and 5,000.
Okay, well, that's most decent quarterbacks you put.
Well,
Andy Reid.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it just depends on your situation. And Justin Herbert's with a cruddy defensive coordinating coach, but that's neither here nor there. I'm gonna take. I'm not even doing this because I'm a Philly fan, but I'm just gonna take. I'm gonna take the Chargers. I think it's gonna be a close game. I think this might be the beginning of the end.
I mean, it's home game for the Chargers, and they're coming off a bye. And the 49ers literally laid out a blueprint.
Yes.
They put out and Eckler is back for like the first time this year.
Yeah, and as much as I hate Brandon Staley, to his credit, their defense did play well the last few weeks. They only gave up 17. They gave up 24 to the Vikings.
Oh yeah, Khalil Mack, 6 sacks.
Yeah, Khalil Mack Yeah, I mean, if they can get that kind of pressure on the Cowboys again, it's going to be a long day. I'm going to take the Chargers in a close game.
It pains me to say it, but I feel like I'm the biggest Chargers like anti-supporter. Like I want the Chargers to be good, but they fooled me like 8,000 times in my life. So I'm taking the Cowboys by like a field goal,
It's only a 1.5 point spread, so coin toss.
which means means Vegas thinks Cowboys are the more talented team, but it's home
Yep.
for the Chargers. It'll be an interesting game. I mean, I would love nothing more to have a great Monday Night Football game so I can eat some pizza, watch some games before I have to go back to work on Tuesday. So, well, that does it for the slate of games for this week 6. Hopefully, we get some exciting games. We have a full day Sunday, 9:30 to midnight of nonstop NFL action. Should have an exciting game on Monday. Now we're going to get to our picks for the week.
Fantasy picks.
Yes, fantasy picks. So we are going to do our starts of the week. Would you like to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. I struggled this week. I tried to find somebody that is, I don't know. This one's hard. I'm going with Adam Thielen versus Miami. Just because he's been performing well the last few weeks, and he's still, just from a pure fantasy perspective, I don't think they're going to be able to do anything against Miami, like in totality for the game. But I could see Thielen still getting like 8 catches for 80 yards, maybe a touchdown.
Yeah. All right. So for my start, I'm going with Logan Thomas versus the Falcons. Falcons, I think, are going to be able to contain the run, so taking away Brian Robinson. And it seems like when Logan Thomas has been healthy, they've gone to him. He's gotten a couple scores on the year. If you weren't able to get one of the, upper echelon tight ends, he was banged up. So I think now that he's healthy, especially against this Falcons pass defense, I could see him easily getting in the, 4 to 5 catches, 40 to 60 yards, and a touchdown. And with tight end plays this year, that's all you need to be a top 5 fantasy finish for tight ends.
I like it.
RJ sent in his picks, and his start of the week is James Cook against the New York Giants. Like we were talking about earlier, that game's not going to be close. So he's taking the James Cook to get some garbage yards. I would say, just as a point of caution, hopefully James Cook gets a few dump offs and maybe bust a big play, possibly for a score early. Because if the Giants do fold, I wouldn't be surprised if Latavius Murray or Damian Harris come in just to run out the clock.
Yep.
But good thought process there. Now for our sits.
This one's gonna
back to you.
This one's gonna be painful for you, but I'm gonna go with Derrick Henry.
See, I was gonna put that, but I was like, that's too obvious.
Well, I mean, based on what we looked at earlier, he either has huge games against Baltimore or poor games against Baltimore.
Yeah.
It's in London. It's a weird game. I'm picking Baltimore, so I'm just going off the hunch that Henry isn't going to have the most efficient game, and it just seems it's kind of hard to guess what his usage is going to look like too with the Titans this year. I could see it being like a 10 to 12 carry game for like 40 to 50 yards.
Yeah. Yeah, at this point, as just sidetracked, as a Titans fan, I hope they go one way or the other. I don't want to be in this, we have a good game here and then we have a couple bad games. Like, either suck so that they can trade off some players. And honestly, I wish Derrick Henry goes to, like, a good team that he can continue his career. I don't think he's over. I think sure he's maybe a step slower. He's 30 years old, but I think he still has like 2 or 3 more good years left. But he's the Titans have had several games this year where he averages more yards after contact than he does total yards rushing. That's how bad the Titans O line is. But hey, I don't want to get sidetracked. My sit of the week is DeAndre Swift. I can't remember who y'all playing this
Jets.
week. Yeah, Jets. I think the Jets defense is good enough to take him away.
Yeah, they got some
And
Quincy Williams out there flying around.
yeah, and DeAndre Swift this season has kind of been like he either like goes off or does nothing. I could be mistaken.
A little mistaken, but it's okay.
Well, I feel like it's like he like has like
Even he
top running back or like
he's averaged over 10 points a game in fantasy since week 2. He just hasn't. He's more like 12 to 13 points the last several weeks instead of.
I'll reword it. I'll reword it. I think the issue really is with him is it's like with the Eagles offense, it's not typical where he is a top 5 running back this year, but it's not like a typical offense where you get into like you get into like the red zone and it's like, oh, running back time. The Eagles will bring in Gainwell because he's bigger, throw a fade to AJ Brown, and then they have the brotherly shove to get Jalen Hurts the goal line carries.
Yeah, I mean,
so
yeah,
for DeAndre Swift, you for the most part you need him to be churning out these big yardage games to get the big points because he doesn't have the touchdown favorability that a lot of these other players have.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad pick. I mean, the last couple of weeks he's gotten like 60 to 70 yards off of a good. He's been efficient. He doesn't get a ton of carries, probably like 15 or so, but he makes good use of them. He runs hard and he's shifty. But the last couple of weeks he's been saved in standard PPR format with like he's been getting like 3 to 4 catches too. So you're correct in your evaluation, I think. Against a tough Jets defense too.
Yeah. Then RJ's sit of the week, he is going with
Ford versus 49ers.
Yeah, Jerome Ford versus the 49ers. I mean, enough said. I don't think the Browns are going to do anything against the Niners.
Jerome Ford hasn't really done anything either.
He had like a good 3-game stretch, and it's just been rough since then without Deshaun Watson and whatnot. If you are, digging for running backs, there's a lot better options out there than Jerome Ford. Yep. Jeff Wilson on the Dolphins might be a sneaky pick. Go and get for the Bills Latavius Murray or Damian Harris, and hopefully it gets a blowout and they just get those garbage like 50, 60 yards, maybe a garbage goal line carry. If you want to grab one of the Cardinals backs with James Conner being out, like there's other people out there. I would not be. Yeah,
Dante
definitely
Foreman,
sit Jerome Ford.
Him?
Huh?
Dante Foreman's out there.
Yeah, if you can grab him, same thing. He's going to get. I don't know how efficient he's going to be. He's going to get carries, and again, maybe he gets a 1 or 2 yard touchdown run.
Yep.
So yeah, definitely do not start Jerome Ford. Now we're gonna go to our lock of the week.
My lock of the week, I'm taking the Saints over Houston. The spread's only 1.5. Saints favorite. Is it? Yeah, the Saints are the favorite. 1.5. I think the Saints can cover that. I think it will still be a close game, but it's 1.5. It's easy to cover.
Yeah. I just realized RJ has the same lock as me, so I'm going to change it.
I had the same one too. I had to change mine.
My lock of the week is the Dolphins over the Panthers. I'm just kidding. It's not. That's child's play. Let me find a good one in here.
Well, I'll say when you're looking.
I got a lock of the week.
Okay.
It looks like the Ravens maybe moved up to 4.5-point favorites. So give me the Titans plus 4.5.
Yeah, I would take that.
I think the Ravens win.
Three field goal type game.
Yeah, I think the
4-point
Ravens
game.
win, but 4.5 is a little rich for me. So give me the Titans plus 4.5.
Yeah, 23, 20, 20, 24.
Yeah. 17-13. Like
Yeah.
RJ's lock of the week, Raiders over the Patriots. I think all of us have lost all faith in Mac Jones. And RJ, before he hopped off, said that he thinks Max Crosby is just going to completely wreck the Patriots game plan, and he very well will. He's one of the more underrated defensive linemen in the league. He's probably not underrated, but he's probably doesn't get the recognition he
Underrated
gets.
as in like he's one of the best defenders in the league, and he doesn't get that recognition.
Yeah. Not underrated like no one knows him. Underrated like he should get way more. He doesn't get like the gaudy stats, but if you look at his,
he doesn't get like
his,
the Bosa recognition.
Yeah.
And he's up there.
But he's probably just as good as Bosa. So those are our fantasy start sits and our locks of the week. Maybe we make some money. I don't know. Maybe we do. Maybe we don't.
I haven't made nothing.
If you gamble long enough, eventually you'll win. That's what they say, right?
You either gamble long enough to win money, or you
die broke.
I was trying to phrase it like a Batman quote or something, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
Wait.
So
how does the Batman quote go?
You either die a hero, or you live long enough to become a
villain.
Is that it? I don't know.
Dang it. Whatever.
Yeah.
Close it out.
Well, that does it for the. That does it for the show. That's our week 6 coverage. Any other parting thoughts, sir?
No, but my desk sounded like it was about to collapse. Nope, just excited. Another weekend, another day of football, and I'm excited for it.
All right. Well, that does it for the show. This is No Interference. We are your hosts, Westside Big Sass. The Bull was here for a little bit before he bailed. As always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the show. Like, subscribe, share. Follow us on social media at The NI Show on Instagram and Twitter. That's all for today, so adios.
See ya.